All right, now on the AlwaysMoto podcast, we've got a guest joining us who was competing at the Australian Supercross Round 1 at Marvel Stadium. He was on the WBR Yamaha number 7 in the lights class. It's Conor Tierney. How are we doing, Conor?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yeah, thanks for the call.
No worries. And look, I'll make an apology at the beginning for repeating this, but we did try and do this yesterday, and I had a software issue. So hopefully we can get through this one today and actually get recorded information to put into the podcast. So yeah, appreciate you doing it again, man.
Just a practice run should be sweet.
Yeah, we're all good now. We got the kinks out, hopefully. So, so how was the event for you at round 1 there for the Aussie round? Obviously we're talking to you about an injury at this point, so not fantastic. But how was the event to begin with?
Yeah, Melbourne's always an awesome event. I guess one that we looked forward to all year. A bit different vibe having it as a first round this year instead of a kind of the last round to finish off the season. So that was different, but the same. Excited, nerves were rolling, vibes were there. Everyone's always having a good time at Supercross, and yeah, just I guess getting out in front of that crowd, which unfortunately I didn't actually get to do because I didn't make the night show. But it's always something that we really look forward to, and it's an experience we don't get with the rest of the circuit for the motocross, and I guess the last 3 years either. So yeah, I was really looking forward to it.
Actually, that's something. Have you actually done like the Supercross before? You have, haven't you? Like, because it's been a couple of years since we got an Aussie Supercross round.
Yeah. My last year was 2015.
Oh,
Actually had a
nice. Yep.
pretty good. I mean, sorry, 2019. I had a pretty good year that year. Um, I think I finished fifth overall in the series, and actually got a race win at Wollongong. So yeah, I had a really good year. So I was looking forward to getting back behind the gates.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, I was just wondering, I was just thinking that through my head. Then, yeah, like you're only fairly new to all this still. Like it's been a couple of years with COVID. We haven't had a series. It must be nice to actually be in the stadium and look, this is probably the biggest one for us in Australia, and obviously with a roof and stuff too, it makes it a bit of a different vibe. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So talk us through what happened. Obviously, you said you didn't make it to the night program as such. When did the crash happen for you?
Yeah, so we went out. Like, we had our 8 minute practice. Obviously, pretty short practice and stuff to get a hold of the track. The tight program. So you had a 8 minute practice. Was feeling not too bad. A little bit tight, but was ready to go. And then qualifying session was a little bit after that. I got a sight lap, one heater, like kind of like a medium pace lap, and then I was just about to go into my third heat lap for qualifying, and yeah, just had a bit of a mishap on the dragon's back and stepped over the bars. Yeah, I lost traction off the last. We were going like it was like a three bump dragon's back, and we were going two and then one over the big
Mm-hmm.
line, and I think I just tagged a little bit and just didn't quite get the lift and front wheeled the down ramp, and the bike just followed me over, and I think when I went over the bars, the bike's just crunched me and just pulled my hip out, from what I'm gathering, I guess.
Now, did you catch like your foot on the bar as you tried to go over the front? Like I gather you tried to step through here at this point.
No, I think I was pretty like on the bike, like my hips were like at the radiators.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to step over at all, unfortunately.
It might not have helped anyway. You might have got your feet done or something then. So,
Yeah.
so you've hit the deck. At what point did you start figuring out there was something wrong, and what did you think was wrong initially?
Yeah, straight away. I was kind of the way I landed. I was pretty dazed, but I landed almost like crouched over. So I had both knees, or one leg behind my hip that was happened to be dislocated in front of me, and I was looking down at that kind of in like a crouched over position. I initially thought it was a broken femur,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty scary. I've never had a broken femur before, so looking down at my hip, and I guess it was it was building like a 45, like towards my groin, um, and yeah, definitely didn't feel right. So I had the hand in the air, calling for the race safe crew pretty fast.
They get there pretty quick, don't they? Those guys, they're pretty well skilled and able to look after you guys really well. They've got a nice setup there in the truck. And so, what was their first thoughts when they got to you, and what was their action plan to try and make this better for you?
Yeah, you're right though. They're so fast. Like it was probably only 30, 45 seconds. They were straight over there. Like we are so lucky to have that. That whole crew in the industry is very lucky to have them there. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, we are. I thought it was a broken femur, so I'm going broken femur, broken femur.
Yep.
They after begging for the green stick before they moved me. Bit of a funny story there, I guess. I was like we were talking about yesterday. I was in the most pain I've ever felt in my entire life,
Yep.
hands down. Yeah, I was kind of got the green stick, and then they went to move me, and I was just like, nah, like no good. And then I just remember this kind of one of the last things I remember before kind of going to a bit of I don't know what the word is, like a bit of a
A,
trance.
a drug high or something there from the stick.
Yeah. I remember just looking at one of the guys from Race Safe and just going like, "Can you OD on this? Like, am I going to die?" And he said no, so I just put the finger over the breather hole and just remember taking the deepest breaths that could possibly take, trying to just kind of drown that pain out. And then yeah, they chucked me on the stretcher, and then I guess the protocol with the femur is to kind of splint it pretty fast. You might have some more fix on that.
Yeah, with any broken bone, obviously you want to try and stabilize it, and for a femur, obviously massive bone, it's pretty important. You've got your femoral artery in there that can be severed and lead to a real big issue. And so obviously they're just going to try and strap the leg to the other leg as a stabilizing point. But I gather for you that wasn't a comfortable scenario based on the fact that it wasn't a broken femur in the end.
No, I'm sure you can imagine the feeling of it being dislocated over, I guess, like in your groin to button it, and then trying to straighten that out and pulling on that thing was a horrible feeling. Definitely had me squealing. So yeah, we ended up they just left it kind of back, tried to put it back in a comfortable position for me,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it was pretty much I don't really remember much from there.
So the green whistle, did it do much at that point for that pain? I gather not.
Nothing at all. I've had a good handful of green whistles before, and they've always done the trick. But this time, I just felt like they did nothing at all. Like it was crazy.
Yeah, I have a little experience with that because I actually broke a hip a couple of weeks back, and I ended up having three of them in a row because I was out in the middle of nowhere had our desert race. So I had three of them, and I kept yelling at them that they're not working, they're not doing nothing, and they're like, "Oh, they're empty. Here, you have another one." I'm like, "Am I allowed to have more than one of these things?" Like, I've never actually. That was my first one, surprisingly, but yeah, they're an interesting tool, but they're obviously not for that level of pain, or at least they didn't seem to be for that level of pain.
Yeah, it seems like there's a threshold for that. Yeah, I guess. And like I said, like when I asked him if he can OD, and he said no, so there'd have to be a bit of a half safe drug there, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to have some sort of level to make sure that you can't go too nuts on it and be crazy. Otherwise, people will be trying to get these things, under the counter sort of thing. So it might be a bit of a different issue there. But so they got you back to the truck, I gather, pretty quick as well because it was really close to the track. It was a good position there in Marvel Stadium for the race safe guys. But they've got a nice setup in there. What they get you hooked up onto straight away?
So I talked to my physio John. He was there at the track. So this is all blur for me. But talking to him, we're talking about he was he was actually having a bit of a laugh at me. He was ready to get the camera out because he's a good mate of mine as well.
Yep.
And he was talking about how he's on the edge of his professionalism and then being a mate as well, which I thought was pretty funny. He was ready to get the camera out. He thought something was quite funny. So I'm glad someone got a bit of a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying that I was just talking about because obviously they ask if you're allergic to any drugs or anything, and I got a bit of a reaction to morphine. So then they were like, "Yeah, well, don't worry about that. We're giving you ketamine." And yeah, I think I might have asked to be put in a K hole.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
So that was definitely I don't remember that, but apparently it was pretty funny.
Have you
And
had
then
ketamine before?
no, I have not.
You haven't. So have you heard the stories about it, but like in terms of what people supposedly see when they're on ketamine?
Yeah, so that's I'm guessing it was in the back of my mind
Yeah.
is what I talked about being in K holes, and I just wanted to be out of that pain, I guess.
Yeah. Well, for
Yeah, maybe.
those that are listening and don't have never been on ketamine and haven't heard the stories, there's lots of people that like obviously ketamine's used for a pretty high tolerance, like as a pain drug, like to get that pain down quickly and easily, and but it has a pretty good effect on this on the psyche, and lots of people say they see little green men running around. I personally had it, and I thought I was every time I'd close my eyes, I thought I was in the Matrix with just the green code running down the screen. So it was it's an interesting drug, that's for sure, but it's effective.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, that's funny.
It's just what it does. For some reason, the green it must be part of the chemical makeup, but yeah, everything goes green on you. So yeah, it's not something you want to get too often, but it's effective for pain relief.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Because I guess that's what they're kind of the way they go now is straight to ketamine. I had a few mates that have been hurt, I guess, in the last year and a half. They've had some injuries, and it's almost like it's the go-to.
Yeah,
Uh, pain.
they've definitely moved away from like the usual morphine. Like that's yes, ketamine seems to be the more common thing. So maybe it's cheaper to process. Maybe it's less people have reactions to it. I'm not sure on that one, but it's definitely a popular thing that's being used lately for injuries. You know, especially once you get to the emergency departments.
Yeah, because I know a fair few people that kind of get a reaction to morphine, makes them sick.
Yep.
I remember back in like 2013, I broke both my wrists as a junior, and I remember them putting morphine in, and I just got like a hot flush over my body, and then just started projectile vomiting.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Yep. Lovely.
yeah,
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 well, that's probably like one, obviously you being that's an allergic reaction, but yeah, I just think there's probably a lot more people like that, and this obviously isn't doing that for them. So, but you just get to see green men, you know, running around. So,
well, I wish I could remember that experience. I definitely don't have any recollection of that.
it might be more. I was on it for a good couple of days in the emergency department in the trauma center there at the Alfred. So it might be because of just purely a time build up for me. But I know lots of people have had it, and after a while, yeah, same sort of thing. They've seen weird shit. So you just must have missed out on that one at that point. Maybe you were just sleeping it off. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so.
So what's obviously it's been a couple of days now since the race. What's the plan for you? Did anything happen as such other than did the hip dislocated? But what did anything else break, tear at that point, or did you get away pretty easily?
So I actually had a practice crash on Tuesday, leading up to the event. Just cased a three in and had a bit of a nasty over the bars where I kind of went to the fifth jump and landed on my back and
Ouch.
woke up. Yeah, I woke up pretty sore. Um, just was seeing physio, heat packs, hot baths and stuff, kind of getting ready for the weekend, just trying to keep myself not too stiff. Obviously not riding.
So was this John at that point looking after you then too?
No, so I was actually over in Queensland training with
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah, with Aaron, Nathan, and KJ over on their program with Nathan Crawford, Big Nath, and
Yep.
then Fighting Fit Physio.
Yep. Okay.
Over them guys will look after me there. Um, so yeah, usual program is over with John and Ross in Melbourne. That was my program this year and in motocross, but there's really not much supercross going on here at the moment, and yeah, them boys are some of my best mates, so it was good to kind of get away and have some fun and go do some training with them in Queensland. So yeah, I was based over in Queensland before the event.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So yeah. So they had to sort you out for. So what did you do then?
Yeah, so I didn't know at the time, didn't get scans, but I ended up fracturing three vertebrae in my back on the Tuesday crash. Just some transverse processes, so not
Okay.
structural.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not still important, but yeah, not severe. So yeah.
yeah, and then and a rib as well, which has been giving me the most grief. I actually last night I woke up um, like pretty tired and put my hands behind my head for a stretch.
Oh
And
no. Yep.
Eesh, just leant back and stretched and just went big clunk. Oh, just
Stab
got a bit
straight in the heart, sort of thing. Yeah.
and just by myself, like it's fully asleep. Partner's asleep next to me, so just suffering in silence at like 2 a.m. It's horrible.
Yeah. The ribs the ribs can be so painful because everything sort of attaches to them in a way, and every movement you do even as simple as taking a breath, they move and you can't stabilize them. So they just hurt all the time, and they hurt all the way up until the fact that they're actually rejoined, like that they've united back together. So it's a good 4 to 6 weeks before you stop getting pain. And don't even get me started on if you cough or sneeze. Like that's just it's not pleasant at all.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you need to sneeze all the time now that you've got a rib that's displaced. Like,
It's like your body's saying "fuck you."
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, it never fails, and you try to hold it in, and you just can't, and you end up doing this weird ass noise, and you still end up whimpering at the end of it anyway. So yeah,
I almost think it's worse when you do. They try to hold it in, so you're all tensed up, and then it finally goes, and yeah.
you've got that for a few more weeks, mate. Unfortunately, yeah. So, but that's probably at this stage, that's probably worse than the hip, I gather.
Yeah, well, I guess yeah, I didn't even mention, but the hip was they got it all back in without problems, no surgery needed. They said I was pretty lucky to dislocate a hip and not fracture or damage anything on the way out. So yeah, they actually so it was out for probably 2 or 3 hours.
Oh,
Took
it's a
back,
decent amount of time still.
yeah, because they took scans and stuff first, and the hospital was pretty busy, so scanned it and then and then put it back in. They put me to sleep through all this. So I actually woke up just in a hospital bed, like after just getting the checkup scans, which was half nice.
Well, it's pleasant for you at least. You didn't have to be awake while they're trying to yank on it or anything silly like that, because that can be just as painful trying to put it back in, especially for the hip. Like it's the biggest one to dislocate. So yeah.
Yeah, I could imagine that being horrible. But yeah, like you said, like it's been not too bad. The pain, it's just been just achy. I'm not sure if I guess a lot of people have dislocated shoulders and stuff done that before. It's kind of like a little bit like the feeling of that, just a bit more intensified and just feels a little bit unstable and uncomfortable to move around the hip and the back and then the ribs. Yeah, the rib is probably the worst pain at the moment. Everything else is kind of just resting up and just a little bit achy.
Well, no doubt you would have aggravated the rib and the back in that second crash in the stadium when you did the hip. So it's probably all had another tweak at that point too. So that would have been a nice little addition just to remind you that they're still there and fresh. So
Yeah, add it to the list.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've probably got a few other things to deal with as well from previous issues from bike crashes. I'm sure that probably still are, just hanging around in the background. But yeah, you don't need anything anything extra. The list gets pretty long as a moto rider. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the plan then? Like this has probably knocked you out for this Supercross season. Given that the hips only just gone back in, you've probably got at least 6 or 8 weeks of not much activity and still followed by then trying to get strength back and able to walk, run, jump, all that sort of stuff. Is there anything? Have they given you any time frames for when you'd be able to do anything significant?
No, like I was, yeah, this 2 weeks on crutches and non-weight bearing, just balancing and then checking up from there. But I'll go get some more advice on Monday. I'll go see John
Yep.
and probably get a bit more of a clearer direction on what's next for me. But yeah, that'll be my Supercross season done.
Yep.
With the fractures in my back as well. Um, yeah, so as kind of hard of a pill as that is to swallow, just you put all that work in and put your heart and soul into it, and it's something I love so much is getting out there and racing Supercross. So to kind of only get the 10 minutes of track after a good 7 to 8 weeks of training, it's a tough one.
Yeah, not fun. Unfortunately, moto can get you pretty quick, and Supercross even quicker. So, yeah, it might not be even a lap. Sometimes it can be over before it begins. So, yeah, that part sucks for you, really. Like you said, to put in the effort. I'm sure you're probably training for a good few months before this, just to be in shape to do it, and then yeah, like you said, 10 minutes, not even, and it's all done.
Yeah, and for myself and also the people behind me as well. I guess it's pretty disappointing. They're all very, very supportive, but it takes more than just one person to kind of, as you can imagine, get out there on a Supercross track. Like the whole WBR team, like there's Trav, Nath, his whole family is involved. Jack, my mechanic, like all the sponsors that they put together. Like it's such a massive program and to get everything together, it's a lot of effort. Even just the Supercross event, how much goes into that, and getting all the people down. I guess not being able to, it's not being able to go out and compete and at least get my name out there for myself and for the people behind me. And it's very tough.
Yeah, that part definitely sucks. So what's on the cards then? Have you got plans for next year at this stage? Like, I obviously got to recover first, but is there anything in the works, or what have you got on that side of things for 23?
Yeah, like we touched a little bit on this, but yeah, it's pretty tough time for me right now. I feel like it was a bit make or break this year, with getting some support for next year, and privateer not being much of an option. Just exhausting everything over the last couple of years. So I'm not sure what's in the works for me at this point in time. Probably a little bit down the dumps right now.
The injury funk. Yep.
Yeah, and it's probably a bit more of a mindset now than I'm hoping in the next few weeks. But it's not looking fantastic. Might have to get a real job and earn some money. But yeah, I'm really not sure what's in store for me for next year.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, like we said, the injury funk, sometimes those first week to two afterwards can be a bit difficult to deal with, especially when you're, fighting fit, only a few days earlier. It takes a little while for you to get over that. And then as you get better, like as you progress with your recovery, you'll start to feel that itch coming back. But maybe it's too soon to ask that question. We'll shelve it for a couple of weeks, eh?
Yeah, come back in a few weeks. Let me know.
Yeah, exactly. Look, man, it's a bummer the way it happened, and glad you're semi-okay. Obviously, a hip dislocation is nothing minor, but at least it wasn't too major in terms of the other damage that went along with it, and it went back in somewhat easily by the sounds of it. So hopefully the recovery can be smooth and you can get back to normal here, hopefully by Christmas or so, and, work things out from there.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
No, all good, man. Have you got anyone you wanted to thank before we, cut you off here and, give you the chance to get on the soapbox and thank all the sponsors that have been behind you this year?
Yeah, no, thank you. Just a huge thanks to my dad and my family, my partner Chloe. Their support over the last 2 years has been immense, and they've definitely kept me going. So huge thanks to those guys. WBR Racing team, the whole Witten family, Jack, my mechanic this year. Yeah, all the effort they put in to get me out there. Big thank you to those guys. Even Honda, that was for my privateer gig this year. I didn't get to get out there and represent those guys either. They had a pretty good privateer program set up for me. It's set up through myself. Had Pirelli on board, Pirelli, Cassins, Bell, G's, Fly. All of those guys from motocross that jumped behind me and really helped out. Just a massive thank you. Thank you and a sorry, for sure. So, no, wouldn't be able to do it with any of those guys. But yeah, thanks for giving us the opportunity to give those guys thanks.
No, awesome, man. It's what makes the world go around. So, no, look, happy to give you that chance. And, look, appreciate the time on the AlwaysMoto podcast. Thanks for joining us, Conor.
Awesome, mate. Cheers. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for sticking around, guys and girls. That was a great show this week for the AlwaysMoto podcast. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to send us your T-shirt orders for your AlwaysMoto T-shirt to alwaysmoto2019@gmail.com. Don't forget to look in the the show notes. That's the word I wanted. The show notes. Check out the show notes for the links for our bio, for the slant board, so that you can use that special code AlwaysMoto in lowercase to save on a slant board to help your squat training. So follow us on social media for all our updates and all things injury and moto. Search AlwaysMoto, then follow and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast feed, people. It's super important. Subscribe, rate us if your app allows, but make sure you subscribe so you get to see the next episode automatically in your feed. All right, and don't forget to check out our written articles over on fullnoise.com.au. But that's it for another show. Be smooth, be fast, because if you're not, you'll probably be seeing me deep in the emergency department, maybe even the clinic, having strapping tape thrown wherever it sticks. See you later, guys and girls.